Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming at you live, episode 32 of Life on the Rocks with your host, Connor LaRocque. Today's featured guest in the hot seat, who's actually switching gears today. We got Bryan Cooper here. How you doing, my friend?
Good, man. Yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great, thank you.
Good.
For anyone who doesn't know Bryan in the city of Sudbury, like I said, he's switching roles. He's actually a radio host on Kicks 91.7. To get this started off, right there, you see the logo? Get this started off, me and Bryan actually met in kind of one of the funniest ways. Tell them how we met.
I can't believe I'm about to say this. We actually met at a blueberry pie eating contest in the summer. So every year, Sudbury has the famous blueberry festival, and part of that is the celebrity pie eating contest. And I've taken part in it, I think, 4 years now.
No kidding.
Might
Did
be
you
4
win
years.
it each year?
No. There's a lot of training that goes into this. But yeah, we actually competed against each other, and I must say,
You took it home.
I destroyed everybody. No offense, Connor.
You did too.
So that's how we met. Blueberry pie eating contest. Our faces were covered in blueberries, and it was hilarious.
It was hilarious. Actually, all my friends made a bunch of memes after, and like, you don't want to go there, but there was a bunch of funny memes that came out. But to fire this interview off in a good way, Bryan, I want to start this off. What got you started, specifically in business and then as a radio host? I want to get some context here for the viewers so people get to see in more in depth of what got you started in general. Where did you start off? Did you go to school? What happened?
Yeah, well, it was funny because in high school, I actually was one of those kids, I never really knew exactly what I wanted to do with myself. I never really, when it came to jobs or work or anything, like my future, I never really actually knew. And I have to give credit to my stepbrother when we were in high school. He said, hey, like, you're a great speaker. And he said, why don't you give radio a shot? Do a co-op in high school. And that's a plug for high school co-ops. Always take advantage of those. And so I did a high school co-op at our local radio station. I grew up in Muskoka, so It was called 105.5 More FM. At the time, the station no longer exists in Muskoka. And did I think it was like a half a year long co-op there. And they basically, because it was such a small town radio station, they let me do literally everything from news to the mornings to writing sports to going out on location to literally doing everything going on the air. And that kind of really sparked this interest in broadcasting in general and more specifically in radio. And that's what really kind of got it started. And once high school was done, I still was at a point where I was like, I don't really know what I want to do with myself.
Most people, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I thought, you know what? Why not give this radio thing a shot? And went to Canada College for their radio broadcasting program. It was an amazing 2 years of schooling for me. Did really well. Was very successful. Won a bunch of awards, which was great.
Wow.
It just kind of, I went from there. And I loved it. Like it was. You hear a lot of people in school, they don't really like what they're learning. Where I actually loved my education, and it didn't even feel like school at all.
Absolutely.
And so I'm so glad that I'm still in radio and get to use that experience now.
No, 100%. And that probably made it pay off that much more. You're not sitting at a desk laying there thinking, I gotta get this done, kind of wasting money. So did you start off, have you been on several radio stations, or did you start right off into Kicks?
No, yes, Kicks would be my probably fourth radio station. So I'm 29. I'm going to be 30 next year.
Doesn't look 29. That's my age. Sorry.
I know. The big 3-0 next year, believe it or not. So I actually started the same city that I went to school. I went to Canada in North Bay. That's right. I actually, once school was done, I took a year off because I thought I was going to go back to school for sports journalism. That never ended up panning out, and I figured I may as well try and get a job in the radio industry somehow. Definitely. Started off part-time at Rogers Radio in North Bay. And so they own three, actually they still own 3 radio stations there, and ended up doing basically whatever they wanted me to do. Just wanted to be that guy who could basically do whatever. I was a jack of all trades type guy, and I did like everything. I remember my very first day of work, they had me clearing out a storage locker. That was
no kidding.
So literally, I was doing whatever they wanted me to do. And so I was on their AM country station there, on their Hot AC station as well.
Wow.
And I was the promotions coordinator, so I would help set up all the promotional events, that kind of thing. I worked there for about 2.5 years, and then it was time for a change, and I took a job. What actually brought me to Sudbury was working at the Christian radio station at KFM. Okay. They're located on LaSalle Boulevard. A lot of people don't know that they exist, but I took a job there, and then was there for about 1.5 years, and took some time off after I departed there, and within that streak too, got married. There's a lot of big life things that started to happen, and we found ourselves pregnant, which was very exciting. It was a very exciting surprise, so I needed a job. Kicks ended up being hiring. They're looking for a part-time weekend announcer for news and on air. and ended up applying and got the job. And,
huge.
And here we are 2.5 years later or something, and I'm the morning man on Kicks 91.7.
Literally, say that one more time, just so we hear the you hear him on the radio. Kicks 91.7.
Yeah.
I used to when I called G-Ran in here to interview him, I used to do his radio voice. We're coming at you live. Like that's where I actually started the Life on the Rocks intro, kind of like that from you guys in the radio. I want to ask you. So, being that you got to do a bunch of different positions, did it add that much more? I guess you say value, but did it make you that much better at your job? Being that you understood, okay, the production side, then you've seen this side, then actually being a host. Was it helping you that much more in your job, or it didn't really correspond?
Oh, 100%, 100%. I'm all about, and I would encourage anyone, if you're just starting off in whatever job, if it's radio, if it's something else, if it's business, when you're starting off, do as much as you possibly can. Learn from people who have been in the industry for long. I've only been working in radio full time since 2000 and since 2010, so about 7 years ish or so, something like that. But all the experience within like 3 years of doing literally everything that people were asking me to do, I don't regret that 100. I don't regret that at all. And the amount of experience I got out of those few years, really starting at the bottom of the ladder, has really helped to bring me to where I am now, and has really encouraged me to really help me to kind of chase opportunities in the radio industry. And I love working at Kicks 91.7. It's been amazing.
No, absolutely. I think that's huge, and that's what I want to ask. You always want to get the full scope and the full picture of what's going on, and I think people are asking this question: are you a country fan?
Of
being
course.
that you went in there, you must be a big country fan going in and working in a country radio station.
Yeah, well, I have to be 100% honest. When I started working at a country station in North Bay, like I had mentioned, I actually was not a country fan at all. But it was a job, and so I took the job regardless. I have 4 siblings, believe it or not, and they're all older than me, and they all loved country music. And I was the only one. I was determined to be the one who was different, and I started working at a country station, began to gradually fall in love with country music, and here I am at a hot AC station, and I love the music and the artists, and I love the messages of the songs, and I really, really enjoy it.
No kidding, I really like that. I think that's.
And apparently, I'm looking the part today with my camouflage hat.
He drove in with the truck with the lift kit and everything.
There's a deer in the back too.
Yeah, literally, he's got his gun rack. But I want to ask this: so, as a radio host, so like before you were in the afternoon, right now you're in the morning. Mm-hmm. How does this work? I want you to walk me through the day of a radio host. I just kind of want to get in the context here for people out there. Like, what time do you have to get up in the morning, and how hard is it if you're waking up early? Like, let's walk through that.
Mm-hmm, sure. Well, I did the afternoon drive for a year, so that's a whole different ballgame compared to the morning show. But doing mornings. So what my life looks like right now is I'm generally up at about 3:30 in the morning. That's when my day starts. And it's funny. I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, I realized when I said it sounded really depressing. It wasn't meant to be that at all. I said my least favorite part of the day is waking up. And that sounded really depressing. It was just because I don't think it's ideal for anybody to wake up at 3:30 in the morning. So that's when I start. I'm up at about 3:30. I'm at the radio station for between 20 after 4 and 4:30ish or so. Now I'm the co-host in the morning. So it's Trinette and Coop. So Trinette is the one who gets to operate, push all the buttons and stuff, and I'm on the other side of the desk, and I do all the news. So I write news for an hour when I get to the radio station. At about 4:30, basically look over the day's top stories. Obviously, a lot of the last couple of days, there's been a lot of big national headlines and stuff. So it's not a favorite part of my day, having to report on those big stories, like the thing that happened in Vegas, of course. But it's part of my job. People need to know what's going on. And then we're on the air officially as of 5:30, and we're on the air straight until 10 o'clock. So now my shift doesn't end as soon as we're off the air. This is a common misconception about radio people, is that we're on the air for... or we're at work for as long as we're on the air. There's typically so much more that happens at a radio station than what people think. And so my shift, I'm usually there on a good day till about 12:30ish or so, 12:30, 1 o'clock. Because there's behind the scenes things that need to be done as well, such as preparing for the next day, setting up interviews, etc. And then there's the whole actual programming side. There's the computer aspect as well. Which people just don't know, and I'm very fortunate to have access to all the technology that we do. I remember people that I've learned from, and I don't consider myself a veteran in radio at all. I've only been in it for about 7 years, but hearing stories from people who have been in the radio business for like 25, 30 years, and how they used to cut tapes and stuff. If there's somebody watching it was like a former radio DJ, you'll know exactly I don't even really know what I'm talking about, but it's It's pretty wild. But like all that to say, there's so much more behind the scenes that goes on rather than just the on-air shift. And yeah, so my day's done at about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and that's not to mention sometimes we go live on location in the afternoon,
Exactly, yeah.
Helping other businesses promote their big sales or deals or whatever it might be. We go to dealerships often. Yeah, so it can change quite a bit.
No, absolutely. Let's talk about that for a second from the business standpoint. Like, so how do these businesses, do they reach out to you and you select a certain few to go live on location? Or, obviously, how does this work if a business wants to promote through Kicks?
Well, that would be more of a question for our sales.
The sales side, okay.
Our sales side, so I'm not a salesperson at all. So I'd be the guy who would go live on location. So as far as I know, that's a thing between the client and the radio station. So I'm assuming it probably goes both ways. I would think. I would think the client can approach, and then I'm sure that we can approach as well. But like I said, I'm not the specialist on that.
How do you get on the air? Like, if I was a person, let's say, like, you know what I mean, before, like, I want to get on the air, do I just reach out to a radio person? Like, what are some secrets and things that I can know as a person on how do I get on the air? Like, to pitch myself to get on. Like, obviously, I've done it before several times, but for people out there, like, how would I, if I want to get on the air with you, Bryan, in the morning, like, what would I have to do?
As in, like, a job or as an interview?
No, as an interview request.
Well, the best way would be to reach out. I mean, we have work emails. We have, social media. That's how you and I connected. Actually,
definitely, yeah.
Social media is huge.
Well, the pie eating contest.
Yeah. We were talking to each other for the first time, covered in blueberries.
You want to come for an interview? He's like, not a good time, man.
Not a good time. Not a good time. But yeah, you can always, if you're listening to us in the morning, you can always call us in the studio as well. It's a busy time, so it's probably not a great time to discuss an interview. I would say the best way, if you wanted, if there's an event that's happening or something, the best way would be to send an email, and you can find all that information on our website, kicks917.com. And we have a promotions director who we work alongside with, so he would be the one who oversees all things promotionally. But from an on-air stance, like if, say you were promoting another book, because I know you have a couple books or something, right?
Yeah.
It'd be easiest just to contact or get in touch with us like via email, and we would go from there to see, first of all, like we didn't, if it's something that would fit with our demographic, if it's something that we feel that would be good for our listening audience.
Exactly. So does it go on a viewer stance? Like, it's like, okay, maybe this will get us some more viewers, or just maybe this is a good story, like you said, that'll fit with the demographic. That's how it's kind of based?
Yeah, I would say a huge part of it is understanding your demographic, who you're talking to, but also is this going to be something that connects, that listeners are going to appreciate hearing
exactly.
about, and they're going to be able to take advantage of and use. Is this valuable information, right?
Not just a bunch of crap in the morning, right?
Yeah, exactly. But there's also, some really, really amazing things that can happen. Sometimes there's some really, really neat stories that, touch the lives of people that you don't even know. And being able to have interview people about maybe an experience that they've gone through can be a really good experience as well. So
no, absolutely. I want to change gears for a second. I think this is important for people. How did it feel when you first started? Like, were you getting really nervous to get live? Like, now you're probably so used to it, you're conditioned. Like, how does it feel to go live? Like, to actually go when you're on the radio, you have a bunch of viewers. There you go. Look at that. Get that right up to the camera.
Yeah, it's very conveniently set up right there, right?
I like that. It's perfect.
I love that.
Yeah. But how did it feel when you first to go live? Like, I know there'd obviously be some heebie-jeebies, nerves. Like, I was on CBC one time. I was at CBC. I was on there one time, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is like a walk in the park, nothing. Then all of a sudden, bang, we're on. I'm like, holy crap, lights are on. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, how did it feel? Like, how do you get used to it? What are some things you do, like, when you first started to now, like, that, to get used to that kind of stuff?
Well, believe it or not, there are still times when I still get, like, the fluttery, the jitters, and I get nervous, and particularly if there's something that's brand new that, say, we've never done before on the air. Right now we're in a big contesting time as well. Like, there's a lot of, like, we're giving away cash, and we're giving away some really, really neat prizes. And so, you want to make sure on the technical standpoint, you want to make sure everything is executed well, and you want to make sure you're sounding really good too. But I think just from doing it for a little bit now, you just kind of, this is what I do every single day. Like, it's like every day we're on the air for 4.5 hours, and you just kind of, you get used to it. And at first, when I first began, I tried so hard to be perfect, to say everything the best I really could. And there's nothing wrong with that. I actually remember when my very first time being on the air, I would script every single.
I was just going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Every single time I went on the air, I would actually write out physically, and I remember spending hours and hours and hours before That was in North Bay, of course, before going on the air, writing out each break, and to the point where I would say it verbatim. But it's kind of neat because now it's I've been doing it for a little bit, and I know my personality a little bit more too, and I've kind of discovered my radio self, so to speak. Like it's I mean, the me that you hear now is the me that you would hear tomorrow morning on the air as well with Trinette and myself. So it's not like we put on an act or anything. This is me now is me on the radio as well. And so I feel like just knowing our demographic and knowing that our listeners enjoy listening to the show kind of avoids or kind of eliminates some of those jitters too.
What do they ask of you as a radio host? Like, do they want like make them laugh, like keep them entertained? Is that the general kind of protocol you guys go through? Like, I'm always curious about that. Like, you hear like Sherry Kay in the morning with G-Ray, right? Like, so obviously they're back and forth, kind of joking around. One's serious, one's having a good time. Like how does it work? Like, is there any like protocol they give you, or just like yourself, go out there, entertain your listeners, keep them engaged, keep them get the news out, like kind of edutainment, I think they call it.
Yeah, I would think that all of us, all radio broadcasters in general, I would say, we all generally have kind of a rule of thumb that you want to entertain your listeners.
Exactly.
Like we want to keep people coming back. We want to keep people tuned in. We want to keep people guessing as to what's going to be said next, or hey, what can I win next? So there's an entertainment value. Of course, there's an entertainment value. That's when humor comes in handy, or when I honestly believe that sometimes the funniest things are things that happen without even being planned, or when I screw up on the air. Like sometimes those are the funniest moments because people realize and they're reminded that you're just human and that you're normal, right? So yeah, there's the entertaining value via like gameplays or just the accidental things or planned bits or whatnot. But there's also the informational side where, radio is there to inform people, and people need to know what's going on. And that's when news, like we do local news at 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8, and 8:30, and of course through the afternoon. People need to know what's going on locally. And now, as much as you can access that stuff online, you can quite easily. It's nice to have that on the radio as well, so that way people don't need to switch. They don't need to go somewhere else.
Is radio dying, Brian? Like, do you think is radio dying out, like locally? Like, how do you feel about that? Like, now that we have access to Spotify, Apple Music, like, how do you feel about that? People are always going to turn to it. Like, what happens with this older generation that's been conditioned on radio? Kind of dies out in a sense. Like, how do you feel about that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I honestly, I could be totally naive, but I don't think it's going to die out. I think. Yeah, there's some amazing technology out there, some amazing inventions that are coming out, like the Spotify and apps and you name it, everything out there that allows you to listen to whatever you want, whenever you want. But then you need to think about local radio that you don't get through that is personality. Things that you don't get about that is a local tie, and I think that's what keeps people coming back, is a local connection, feeling that they're part of something as well. Because I know for Trent and myself and everyone else who's on air on Kicks, it's not solely about us. It's like it's about the community, and how can we embrace the community with what we're doing, reach out to the community, and entertain the community at the same time, and play some great country music. So I honestly believe live radio is strong, and I think it is. Yeah, there's some amazing technologies and amazing services out there that allows you to listen to music and access different things, podcasts and whatnot. Those are great, but I think people will always come back
to
local radio, and it's amazing with our technology, you can listen to local radio online from anywhere in the world. So you can listen to Kicks 91.7 from Mexico. You can listen literally from anywhere. So
it'll kind of be like a podcasty sense. So I look at it like this, and I actually agree with you in a sense that people always want that community aspect, but I see it almost like you look at the television, right? Like, so went from radio to the television. Now it's almost as if your television is right on your phone. You know what I mean? It's kind of transitioning like that. So it's hard to say exactly where it'll go, but I do agree with you in that context. The other question I want to ask you, because this is kind of interesting, but you look at artists, all these different people. Do you look at yourself almost in a sense like you're an entrepreneur? Because your listeners have to buy into you in a sense that, if you know, and you're not, like, I can tell you're a great personality and everything. Like, if you were a crappy radio host, people are going to tune out. They're like, okay, I'm sick of that guy. Like, do you look at yourself almost in a sense like an entrepreneur, in that you're branding yourself for your company and your organization to kind of, I know it's an interesting observation. I was just thinking about that when I look at radio hosts. Like, you see the ones you like, and like that connected with G-Rant. Like, we're good friends and kind of business partners in a way no one really knows about that. But yeah, I heard him before on the air, and then I seen the story, and I'm like, wow, this guy's good. I bought into him. Do you look at yourself like that? or just more as like a personality, just a kind of celebrity, local celebrity personality?
Well, I mean, of course, like our, for example, like our show, like of course we have a branding, right? Like people know Kicks Country Mornings with Trinette and Coop. So in that sense, yeah, we are branded, and people know Trinette and myself in the morning as a duo. I'd say me personally, I believe I have skills and abilities and a passion for what I do. So I guess in a sense, because I guess to get to where I am now, I've had to really pursue things, and I've had to really seize opportunities and really put myself out there. So I guess in that sense, maybe a bit of an entrepreneur.
Definitely,
And I also work with the Sudbury Wolves too. I travel with the Wolves on the road, so that's another example of just.
Let's talk about that after you're done.
Yeah, just really kind of going after an opportunity and allowing it to kind of become something and let your passion fuel it as well. So
would you argue that passion is probably one of the most important variables in success, in being able to get out there? Do you think, because it's the energy factor? Is that what you argue that's kind of led to where you are? You had a passion for radio, that's what directed you? Whereas you see a lot of society, right, they're not passionate. You know, you shake my hand, you know I got a lot of passion. You know, I'm excited. Yeah. You know, and same with you. You're a very excited guy. Like, did you feel that's a huge variable in your success?
Oh, 100%. Because I feel like if you have the passion, if you love doing what you're doing, when it comes to actually being at the workplace, it's not even going to feel like a job, and it'll just kind of give you that much more fuel to do a better job, to do the best that you can, and to and even go over and above. And where I feel like if you're in a job that you're not enjoying, where you don't feel passionate about, and you know, sometimes I'm not even saying, like, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes Absolutely. You got to work places that you don't like, and I totally get it. I've been there before too. But passion is huge. And I think if you have that passion for what you're doing, no matter what it is what you're doing, if you're a radio person, if you're a marketing specialist, if you're a janitorial worker, if you're work at a zoo, whatever it might be, if you have that passion, not only are you going to, I think, excel at that job, but I think other people will see that as well, and they'll be kind of drawn to you as a result.
No, exactly. It kind of gets that surrounding. So let's change over for a second. I kind of want to close this off in a good way. So what are you doing specifically with the Sudbury Wolves? How did this get in? How did you get involved with the Wolves?
Yeah, well, that was kind of, a random opportunity that was just kind of, it was a gift that was kind of placed in my lap one day. Because and I was like,
the energy man.
Okay, sure, yeah. And I'm a big hockey guy. I grew up playing it, not competitively, just all the time, as much as I possibly could. I've grown up... I'm a diehard Leafs fan.
I was gonna ask.
So don't judge me. Don't judge me.
My brother would love you.
No, but okay, good. Well, shout out to your brother.
Yeah.
And I'm not even ashamed of it. It's
no, for sure.
It's I've grown up loving the sport, and I always thought it would be so cool to do something with hockey and in whatever way possible, whether it's the big PA announcer in the arena who announces the goals or whatever. And literally a couple of years ago, the Sudbury Wolves organization. Because I was already doing a few home games, doing play-by-play for an online feed for the Wolves here cool. at home. And so I guess my name was already kind of in the arena, kind of got myself in that way. And they basically said, hey, we're looking for a new voice for the Wolves, a guy who can travel with the team and do play-by-play on the road. So travel with them to Niagara, to Mississauga, to Erie, Pennsylvania, to everywhere that they go, basically, and do play-by-play, call the action. And I thought to myself, well, this is an opportunity I can't turn down. I have to at least try. So that was last year, and I did it. We had a blast. I did an online broadcast, a total solo broadcast as well.
Wow.
And it was kind of like a dream come true. Like, it was really, really cool. I never thought that I would actually do that so soon. And then this year, my wife and I, we've had a lot happen in our life. I have 2 kids under the age of 3. So life is very busy right now, and you mix in mornings and traveling with the Sudbury Wolves
too. I tried booking them. It took me like a month, 2 months.
Literally, this is like 2 months in the making.
Yeah, I kept reaching out.
Yeah,
come on, you know. Yeah,
it's a very, very busy time in life, but you know it's awesome. My kids, I love them to pieces, and my wife's amazing too. And totally supportive. Like, I have all the support in the world from my family to do this, and so I travel with the Wolves. I head on the road, and I do play-by-play, and I get to interact with the players and interview them, and kind of use my broadcasting experience in a way that benefits the Sudbury Wolves Club as well. And so we do that broadcast on CKLU, the university radio station, and online at mixlr.com/Sudbury Wolves. But you can find that information off the Sudbury Wolves website as well. So it's a really neat experience, and yeah, being with the club.
With the club, do you ever see yourself maybe doing podcasting or anything? Eventually, being that you're on air all the time, do you ever want to do something similar, like in that kind of realm?
Oh, I would love to do that. Yeah, I've actually always wanted to do like some sort of podcasting thing. Right now, I have so much going on.
Yeah, you got
with my job at Kicks 91.7, and with the Sudbury Wolves, and with my family, and with all of our extended family being out of town. I have so much going on that it's like I got a lot going on. So I believe there's a firm. It's always good to kind of manage your time as well, and you don't want to burn yourself out. I've gone through experiences of being burnt out before. It was not a very fun experience, and so I need to be the best Bryan that I can be, the best Coop that I can be. If you listen to Kicks Country Mornings, the very best Bryan I can be, and sometimes that means saying no to things. Sometimes that means cutting down on things, and things like that I would like to do, like podcasts. Eventually, you kind of have to put on the back burner.
Well, let me ask you this: what can we expect next from you, Bryan? You're working with the Wolves. You're on the air. What's coming up? What can we see coming? What's stirring? Are you going same thing? Just keep continuing with this?
I'm honestly, I love my job. I really do, and I hope that when you listen in the mornings with Trinette and myself, I hope you hear that enthusiasm and that passion, because I really do love what I do. I love to laugh. I love to make people smile. Literally, if I can make one person laugh, if we can make one person laugh or smile in a day and during a show, I feel like my job is complete. And I also believe that I can always improve, much like I think anybody can improve. So I feel like, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. So I love my job, and I just kind of want to allow these experiences with Kicks and with the Sudbury Wolves to just kind of
flourish.
I want to embrace it,
Absolutely,
so
get in the moment.
That's where I'm at. So just enjoying the moment and really just growing as much as I can and absorbing the opportunities which I have right here, right now.
No, exactly. I have the most important question of this interview, Bryan. How does it feel to be in the other seat?
It is so weird, actually. It's like we do interviews quite a bit, like from a Monday to Friday basis, and you kind of get used to interviewing other people. And so being the interviewee, I actually had to ask Trinette this morning. I said, "What's the word where you're the one being interviewed?" And she said, "Interviewee." And I said, "I thought so." And I'm rarely the interviewee. So. This is pretty cool, but you're doing a good job.
There we go. Yeah, it's all Larry King. I watch a lot of Larry King.
Okay,
that's where I figured it out.
Yeah,
but to close this off, so where can we find you on social media? I tagged you in here. Do you have Instagram? You got LinkedIn or Twitter? Like what are you using? And then obviously the radio station 91.7.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, so it's capital B_Cooper 917. So you can feel free to find me on Twitter. I try to tweet as much as I can. I'm actually pretty new at Twitter, but. I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then you can find, I would say, I'm not on Instagram or anything like that yet. I'm working on it.
I'll make it a kind of.
Yeah. I'm working on it. But, and I would say, you could probably, we're always on our Kicks 91.7 Facebook page. You'll see tons of videos and stuff there. We have a lot of fun. Tons of fun in the mornings. You can find Kicks 91.7 on Twitter as well. And I'm on there quite a bit too.
There it is. Well, honestly, Bryan, it's been a pleasure, my friend. I thank you for finally coming in.
Thank you, sir.
I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right.
We'll close this off.